sun is gone.
Captured my entire squad. Please, you have to send me someone. I don't know how long that's doable.
Remain calm. There is nothing to fear.
Sci-fi and horror. Two genres that, if done right, can make either the perfect horror movie, or in some cases, the perfect video game. We've seen and talked about media on here before, such as The Thing, The Callisto Protocol, and at times streamed the hit game Dead Space. Possibly one of the few games to genuinely terrify me to this very day. Dead Space was one of many horror video games to garner the attention from horror movie fans, combining elements from films like Event Horizon and video games like Resident Evil 4 to make the scariest game of its time, garnering a cult-like following. Following our protagonist Isaac Clarke aboard Ishimura, it's up to him to try and survive the endless hordes of what once were crewmates are now horrors beyond our comprehension, necromorphs. While the games were fun and anxiety-inducing, there was always this want, this need, this craving from fans to see their beloved horror video game get either a movie or TV series adaptation. While there were rumors about a movie floating around and the divisive animated film from the 2000s, there wasn't a project to give us hope of seeing it on the silver screen. In today's video, we'll be discussing the upcoming fan film, Pathogen, and delve into the story and what we can potentially expect. As always, I'm your friendly neighborhood host, That Guy Frankie, yours truly, and welcome aboard the Ishimura. Try not to get lost here. You don't want to lose limbs. Before I continue any further into what I had dubbed Project Pathogen, I'd like to thank Modern Tales Production and Ricardo for taking their time to answer my questions for this video. Without their help and dealing with my short ass, since I can get very much annoying, I don't know if I would have been able to dive deep into the well. So anywho, let's start this video. Pathogen is a fan film being made by the group none other than Modern Tales Production, and it's set to follow the same premise as that of the story in Dead Space 1. The crew did let me know that they wanted to try and stay faithful to the video game story, and for those that don't know the lore, let me give you a shitty retelling, a shitty recounting of it. Isaac Clarke, the silent protagonist, the silent hero of the game, was searching for his wife Nicole aboard the mining colony. Little did Isaac know, however, that this search would be deadly.
Everybody relax.
What was that? Did you hear that?
Not sure. What the hell?
I don't know. Something's in the room with us.
Jesus! Open fire! Open fire!
Upon boarding the Ishimura, all hell would break loose, with creatures known as necromorphs causing chaos, panic. The Ishimura was essentially like the film Event Horizon, this time, however, filled with monsters rampaging, infecting, and doing inhumane acts. If Pathogen follows this premise of the first game and adds their own twist to their project, I know that we will be eating good, and that these guys were cooking up a storm. Because if it's set to follow the same premise as that of the video game, if it's going to be just as horrifying and just as anxiety inducing, we are in for a world of pain. Pathogen's runtime alone is said to be a little over 20 minutes, which for me makes me happy, as although I enjoy short fan films or just short films in general, the greedy consumer in me enjoys having more runtime, especially when it revolves around my favorite media. I went ahead and asked more questions, such as whether or not we'd be seeing any other necromorphs besides the basic ones, to which they kindly answered yes, but wanted to keep the film secretive, so they couldn't let me know as to what other creatures would be involved, but possibly it would be a blink and you miss moment, so keep your eyes peeled when the film drops. Would the film be practical or CGI? In a day and age where fan films are thriving, creators have a wide range of editing software and, well, the internet to learn on how to make cool shit. I pondered the orb and questioned just how much of the film will be practical, in which they answered, it's practical. They wanted to keep everything as realistic as they could, from the creatures that will be shown all the way down to the set. The director of the movie, Ricardo Garcia, was firm and stood his ground about making it practical. This is bold, as practical effects aren't just hard but can take time and can even be grueling for some, as it can be very tedious to get a certain look and effect done right, to at times taking longer than expected in order to make it work. And to hear that Modern Tales production would be using practical effects for their horror movie just made me nerd out. And it's something we can definitely expect to see some freaky and horrifying shit. Aside from the story, the practical effects, let's get into the casting of the movie. As I was told, the crew did have an extensive casting process. They had to find the right person who could embody Isaac Clarke, and now it may sound weird for some, as Isaac in the first game was a silent protagonist, but again, he was. They did inform me that there was an actor attached to the role early on, but the crew had to unfortunately let him go. Enter Maxwell Marcus. The crew would inform me that even though they lost the original actor, it was a blessing in disguise for them, however, as Maxwell was and is brilliant throughout the entirety of this project. The casting of Maxwell came a month before they initially started filming, and from there, it was set. Next to Isaac's casting, we also have the duty of casting Nicole, Isaac's wife. From the get-go, as Modern Tales Productions informed me, they knew right away just who it would be, and it was none other than Tori Keaton. Nicole played a pivotal role in Dead Space's story, as aside from just being the love interest you had to rescue, the game would mess with you and test Isaac when it came to uncovering the truth. As for those that don't know the twist in both games, Nicole was already dead before Isaac had even boarded the Ishimura. Nicole was already on board the Ishimura when the outbreak had started. Being the good person she was, she tried to help as many survivors flee from the oncoming horrors, rather than let herself get killed by any of the necromorphs, or worse, come back as one of them. She decided to take her own life. In a way, I feel that one of the game's developers, Glenn Schofield, took inspirations from games such as Silent Hills, where protagonist and antagonist James is in search for his wife, but not all is as it seems. And what that game did was reveal James as his wife's killer, but not wanting to deal with it, not wanting to come to terms with it, was blinded and sent in his own personal hell. With Isaac Clarke and Nicole in both the original and remake, Isaac has to come to terms that his wife was already dead. Whether it's hallucinations or video logs, Isaac did not want to come to terms with his wife's death, and it broke him. I'm hoping we get to see some similarity such as this in the movie, as it wouldn't just be heartbreaking, but would be amazing live action. What they had informed me as well with this is that we can expect a twist. Apart from both Maxwell and Tori being casted as both Isaac Clarke and Nicole, we can also expect to see two other key players that were important to both the original video game and the remake. Those being Kendra and Zach Hammond. Zach Hammond will be portrayed by Marquise Johnson, serving as almost a guide. It's through Zach that the game felt just a little less tense as he tried to help his crew survive the hordes and the nightmares of the Ishimura. Zach was one of Dead Space's best supporting characters, as although he followed protocol, he did his best under the nightmarish circumstances his group faced. Whether it was seeing his best friends turn into necromorphs or seeing the horrors Ishimura held, Zach did his best to not only survive, but help Isaac throughout the story. Kendra is going to be an interesting character in my opinion, as in the original, she was just this evil and deceiving character with no story to her, whereas the remake version of her character came off more lawful neutral and added more to her character. It added humanity to her. It gave her a motive, an incentive, and it made you sympathize for that character. And I'm wondering as to how Isabella Giordani is going to pull this off. And all I can say is that I'm excited to see these other actors as well in this movie. This film was already in pre-production for nearly 2.5 years, so you know that this is going to be an ambitious horror movie. With Pathogen's biggest roadblock being money, the crew went into debt, making this project even remotely possible. Their Indiegogo is currently closed, and while trying to find out what their budget was on their IMDb, it's reportedly listed to be an estimated $100,000. I'm pretty sure that if their budget is around that range, we're destined to witness something special. Some of the best horror movies and some of the best short films have been done with a budget similar or even smaller than that, so we can definitely expect or be hopeful about Pathogen having some of the best scenes. And that's just about all I know and all I could gather from Modern Tales Productions. With the film not having a release date set yet, we can only hope it's soon, as man, the teasers and trailers alone aren't just good, they're great. If you want to stay up to date with their project, follow them on their YouTube channel, their Instagram, and their Facebook to catch the latest still or news surrounding the film. I've been your friendly neighborhood host, that guy Frankie, yours truly, and now I gotta find a way off this ship.
Quarantine activated.